Welcome to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. I am Halli Casser-Jayne. This week, Joementum is real. So is the coronavirus. Just as we finished recording this week's podcast, Senator Elizabeth Warren, the last woman standing in the 2020 race for the presidency, suspended her campaign, leaving Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders to battle it out. And that's where we begin, when I and my partner in politics, former White House correspondent and veteran Time and Newsweek correspondent Matthew Cooper, slice and dice all things politics and Donald Trump, too. The podcast available at HalliCasserJayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Here we go. Well, good morning, Matthew. It is so nice to talk to you.
Hey, good morning, Halli.
Oh, boy,
Thanks, Halli.
Oh, boy. Listen, can I tell you something? And you're like, I feel better when I talk to you about everything. So I'm like on...
Oh, I'll try to be a voice of reassurance.
Everybody's laughing at me. I'm so on edge, but I really am on edge. You know, a lot going on in a lot of different ways. Right. You know, when we all sit around and we decide what we're going to talk about, you know, what comes first, what comes second. I am starting this week again with the coronavirus because it's impacting everything now. Including our politics. And so I thought that's where we need to start.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's a dominating thing.
It's Trump. It's Trump again. Trump is playing politics with a virus that is killing people. What the hell? I wake up this morning and last night the dude says, go to work. It doesn't matter. It's just the flu. It's nothing... No, the WHO is wrong. 3.4% death rate is enormous, but it's not true. I mean, come on, Matt. You and I have been around a long time. This is totally irresponsible from a president. Talk to me, please.
Well, yeah. I mean, usually, you know, presidents of either party are just going to say, follow what the public health officials say. You know, they're just going to echo the consensus among them. They're not going to step off and say, oh, you know, it's not a big deal, or, oh, it's already under control, as his people were saying the first couple of days of, you know, when things really started to heat up. And then, you know, start berating the Federal Reserve to loosen money when there's a stock market panic going on. So, yeah, I mean, once again, Trump is outside the norms. Now, you know, I do think there does seem to, I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. There does seem to be some consensus that mortality rate will come down by a lot, because right now it's just the ratio of deaths to cases we know about. But once we have a better handle on how many cases there are, it's sure to drop. But still, look, he's, there was probably no reason to think he'd be more responsible about a public health crisis than he would about anything else, and we're seeing that.
Well, except to say this. I mean, first of all, not a word of blowback from anybody in the Republican Party about how irresponsible he's being about all of this. But I would make the point that Matt Gaetz, a Florida representative, that in case you don't know, and Trump, you know, accolade, I mean, you know.
Super
Trumpy, shows up on the vote yesterday wearing a gas mask. Was that supposed to be funny? Because it wasn't. First of all, they're not available. They're sold out everywhere, by the way. But I just thought this is, again, a party that is completely and totally whacked out. This is no joke. People are dying. I don't understand why the world isn't, you know, people in this country aren't up in arms about this. You know, like, stop, get responsible.
Yeah, well, Trump has set a bad tone now. You know, I don't get the sense that Republican governors around the country are being loopy about this. You know, so far, well, it's only so good on that front.
Well, except to say that it's Washington State, which has got a Democratic governor, and it's New Jersey now, which has got a Democratic governor.
Right. Well,
you're like,
it'll be everywhere.
Well, but I'm simply saying, you know, they're probably going, yay. You know, let's kill off those Dems the way these, you know, that group.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Listen, I don't put anything past anybody at this point. I don't. I know you get crazy when I go
The
off.
virus will not choose to stay in blue states.
Of course it won't, but
and they know that.
But when it does hit a Republican state, and it hits a Republican state hard, I wonder whether the tone changes.
Well, that's is possible.
Point.
My only point was you said the whole party had gone nuts on this, and on this one, I don't think it's true. They're not condemning Trump, but I don't get any sense like Republican governors, Republican mayors have gone.
No, those are normal people.
This.
That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people in the Senate.
Yeah,
well,
you got your nuts.
You got the nuts. They're not.
You got your nutty types in the Congress.
Right.
Look, this is a global issue. It's
a pandemic.
Countries are taking strong measures. I mean, Iran is banning travel between different cities. The Palestinian Authority was closing up their turf on the West Bank. The Israelis are, shutting down travel from Europe. Of course, China's taken extraordinary measures. It's global in nature.
There is something weird here, though. I wanted to ask you what you thought about this because, yes, we're seeing this. Everybody's acting responsibly in terms of leaders in Europe and in the Middle East because of where it's there faster than it got here. But if you watch what's going on, I don't think we really know what's going on. We don't see the body bags, people being pulled out. It's a weird deal. It's a virus that's out there, but we're not seeing pictures of the virus, of the victims. It's completely a victimless coverage. And that... Yeah,
I think that's reasonable. I mean...
That's a little scary.
The Chinese are, in many ways a closed society. And, a lot of people...
But Italy's not.
No, that's true. Well, a lot of people are dying or older and they've gone to the hospital, so it's not on camera. But, it's not like a zombie movie where they're, dying in the streets.
Well, if you're looking at population and how many we're talking about who would be dead, and let's just assume at a 3.4% death rate, like, 3.4% of what we're 327 million in this country. That's no small amount of people. So if you put that into a small country like Italy,
I don't think. Yes, if 10 million Americans died, we would see a lot of photos. But
well, I'll tell you what else we're not seeing. I'll tell you what else we're not seeing. They're not letting video photographers into the White House when they're having these conversations. They're allowing one still photographer to come in, no audio.
Right.
That's a little strange too. Eh?
Well, that's not totally untrue on, different kinds of things. But, yes, often there would be a sort of televised roundtable-ish type thing. Look.
I'm looking.
We don't know where this is going. It's clearly affecting everything, the economy dramatically, movement of peoples and goods, politics. It's got enormous repercussions in a way we haven't seen, and we just don't know where it's going in the long term. And we do know to some degree, right? It's not going to get smaller.
Well, the reason we don't know what's really going on in this country is because of a huge mistake that Trump did, which is when this thing really bubbled up in China, and we knew it was going to get here back, in January, the end of January. They had plenty of warning to do what they needed to do, except they forgot to do or decided to not do one very important thing, and that is to make test kits, which had been thrown out and destroyed because they took all the money from the CDC and the WHO portion of the money that America was contributing, overseas to keep these pandemics from, coming to the United States. That money was gone. No test kits. So we really don't know.
No, look, I agree. Terrible planning. And even now you don't really have there's no sign you have the good head-knocking interagency coordination you need for something like
None.
this.
In fact, you had one of his people yesterday or the day before, one of the women who were heading this up for Trump, giving a thing about what not to do and don't touch your face. What does she do during the whole thing? Touches her face. Did you see that? It's all over the internet.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, she's giving you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and she's doing it. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. I also want to say that one of the things that they're saying is you have to go to your doctor in order to get permission to qualify for the test, because there aren't a lot of test kits out there. Now, let me explain to you why that is so bad. I was talking to a health official about this just yesterday. Most people have deductibles, and most people, just to go see their primary care physician, it's going to cost them $60 to $70 to go see their physician. And if they don't have the $60 or $70 with old people who are living on, fixed incomes, who are the ones who are most vulnerable, just to go to see the doctor is something they may choose not to do because they can't afford to do it.
Absolutely.
And I'm saying to myself, would somebody please explain to me why this shouldn't be a free test? That you can go to your local health care, your health department. There's just a lot going on here that's just completely unacceptable.
No, absolutely. Plus all the people who are not going to give up a day of work when they're sick.
Right. But Trump tells them don't worry about it. It'll work. Well, yeah, that
can really move some.
Yeah, and so now everybody gets sick, and there you go. And by the way, on that same note, with the crazy with Trump, so now it's Obama's fault. How did Obama get in this one?
Trump will do anything to blame Obama. I just don't see anything. Yeah, there's just no basis to that. There's no policy Obama pursued to make this more likely. There's no nothing. He's just the irony of Trump being a germaphobe.
Yeah, that's true too, right?
For himself, and then telling everyone, "Hey, it's cool."
I've tweeted to him this morning, and I told him, please, by all means, open up the Oval Office and go talk all over the country if it's also safe. Please be an example and show us.
Right.
Right. All right. So, okay. Anything else you want to say on that subject? Because, I'm just infuriated.
Well, I don't think there's an easy economic response to this. The Fed's cut rates, and that's a little encouraging to the markets, but it's really not a interest rate liquidity problem. That helps, but, it's got so many more elements that are kind of beyond policy control, like supply chains. And, it's not easily amenable like a normal economic problem.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen with it, because if it gets really bad, seriously, then what? We all have to stop.
You don't really know what it's going to do to consumer behavior or business investment behavior and hiring.
Right.
It's kind of untested waters. It's not like a normal recessionary event. And you just don't know. And of course, the Chinese economy is so central to things. We've had such strong growth out of China for so long. The idea of a Chinese recession is really kind of blood-curdling because it's can have such a global effect. Even a slowdown over there of significant proportions would make a big difference everywhere, and they are the epicenter.
And my friend was saying to me, she doesn't even want to go to Dollar General or any of those stores because everything there is hot off the boat from China.
Yeah. Well, that's hopefully people realize that's not really the health threat is not a packaged good from China.
I know. They were saying dogs carry it now. They don't get it, but they can carry it. It's just, look, we are in uncharted territory, and it's coming at a very interesting time. You were talking about the stock market. Moving on to Super Tuesday, I think the funny part about the whole thing was that after Biden won, stock market had a little bit of a rally. Who knew Biden could rally the stock market?
Well, I think now that they see Bernie receding, that helped.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's talk Super Tuesday. Wasn't that just extraordinary?
Really, since we talked last, Biden won South Carolina and then rose. in incredible fashion and dominated the Super Tuesday contest. And it's really one of the most remarkable things to ever happen in primaries.
Are you suspicious
that this was rigged or something, or what?
Somebody said that to me. How in the world? This is like insane. He didn't even have ads up in half the states. No ads, nothing.
Well, I think it was an earned media thing. I mean, I think just as the ads did not save Bloomberg, the lack of ads didn't
hurt him,
stymie Biden, because I think he got so much earned media by the South Carolina pop, and then the other Dems dropping out, leading to a coalescence around him.
They didn't just drop out.
Well, that's the thing, right? They dropped and endorsed.
Well, but they didn't drop, so to speak. They were coerced. They got together. They said, look, you have to know. I wish I had been a fly on the wall. I wish I had been on tapping into the phone lines, because what an unbelievable and brilliant effort. A story to be told one day.
Yes,
Who did
agree.
it? How did it all happen? How did everybody get everybody on the same page in such a short period of time? It was brilliant, and it might have been the most effective thing to come out of the Democratic Party in the last 30 years.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. And the degree to which, any other figures, got involved in this, I mean, Obama says he's staying out. Did he get involved at all? Did Perez, if the DNC chair, did anyone else get involved? Did Biden? I don't know. But that is an incredible story, because it really, I think, kept Biden's momentum going through the weekend. And then he got out. He did the shows, which kept him out there. And, I think it really kept the momentum going into the Super Tuesday contest, and then led to this huge surge. And of course, the irony of Bernie saying, "I'm going to expand the electorate. I'm going to bring in all these new voters. I'm going to change the map," was really Biden who brought in new voters.
Let me give you a couple of statistics on that. Primary voters in Texas, according to NBC, 65 and older made up a quarter of the Dem voters versus 18% of those voters in 2016 and only 13% in 2008. So I'm saying to myself, baby boomers are voting big time, but they're voting, the older they get, the more they're voting too. I think,
right.
I think that's extraordinary. And he also, Biden won 60% of the voters who sat out in 2016. That's massive. That's, I guess, that's the suburban voters, right? That I'm gathering are the ones that we're talking about. I mean, and the young voters didn't come out. They did not show up, and they don't show up. So, I mean,
right. And I think Hillary had a working class white problem that Biden seems better able to address. Right. So a lot of things not. It's not only that Biden came back, he came back so strongly.
Roaring.
In so many ways. I mean, if you had told me, a week ago Biden was going to win Maine and Minnesota and Massachusetts.
Right. I mean, and let me also say this. Something else is interesting about Biden, and I wanted to hear what your thoughts on it were. From the beginning until the other night, he had moments where he looked like he was alive, but by and large, he looked white, pale, gray even, no energy, lackluster voice. And suddenly he transformed. And it's like he looked younger. He looked more agile. His voice was strong. I mean, he didn't look 90,000 years old, which you and I have talked about 1,000 times on the show. Something transformed in him that was extraordinary also. It was like, what was that movie where the guy ages the other way?
Benjamin Button.
That was one of them, but the early one, the one from
Portrait
the 40s.
of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really, who's this guy? Hello.
Yeah, well, I think he was reinvigorated by it. And I think the party was too. I think there was a sense after, that either Bernie was going to march to the nomination, take a lot of people down with him, or Bloomberg was proving to be a flawed candidate, and that Pete and Amy and Elizabeth couldn't quite get there. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of collective relief. Now, as I think you intimated, it's still a very risky nominee. He's
You don't know.
Yeah, he's been weak till now for a reason. He's had a hard time putting it together. He's got a lot of history baggage, that Bernie's going to do a lot to try to exploit and that Trump won't be able to work with. You can see the Republicans are back to Ukraine again.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Hold off on that because I do want to talk about that.
Okay, so, Biden has a lot of weaknesses as a nominee, just as he's got strengths. And so
let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. First of all, I want to go back to something that you said and how this whole thing coalesced. I did hear, and you might want to do some follow-up on this when you get back to Washington, that Obama was involved to some extent. He doesn't want to be front and center, but he was part of the stop Bernie thing. And he'll be more active as he goes along, obviously. But it's my understanding that he the conversation to get everybody on board on the same page. So you might be able to do a little.
Well,
more.
it's certainly possible. I think he put his thumb on the scale to get Biden not to enter the race last time. So it's a little ironic if he's getting in to help Biden this time. But as you said, it's a great story of how this all came together in those few days.
But you know what?
Because it was really historic.
Everybody has their time and everybody has their season. This is the third run he's tried. It really is the time for him. I mean, he really is the medicine this country needs right now. I mean, forget the baggage and the age, and maybe the age works for him in that respect, by the way. Look, I've lived my life. I've lost my kids, my wife, my son, but I've seen it all. I've been bad. I've been good. I've been up. I've been down. He's like a Frank Sinatra song.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
But his time is right. This country does need healing. This country is desperate to be healed and to get its decency back.
Well, that's what he's going to sell, right?
Well, and I think
Trump's the illness and he's the medicine.
And you know what? It's not a bad sell. It's a great sell.
It's not the worst pitch.
It'll be curious about this, though, where Republicans get on it, because I can't believe that some of those who crossed over who were central independent types, or they leaned, that they too are not exhausted by all of this crazy with Trump. It may be, you know what I'm saying? I think he can pull those people, in, because I think there are a lot of people who feel like the rest of us just, can we please get back to something normal? Oh, please.
Well, maybe. I mean, we're gonna find out. I mean, I think he's still got a lot of, weaknesses, and over time, I think they're going to really chip away at him, and Bernie's going to chip away at him, and we'll see. Bernie's not dead yet. They haven't driven the stake through his heart or used garlic or, put him back in the crypt. I mean, he's only about 50, 60 delegates behind. You had to put your money now. You'd have to say Biden's going to be the nominee, but Bernie certainly has the resources to go all the way to the convention in Milwaukee, and he's got some fertile states out there. They're still pretty good for him, but it's Biden's to lose now. But Bernie's out there, and he can cause chaos all the way through, including into the convention. He was not an enthusiastic endorser of Hillary in Philadelphia last time, and
he can do great destruction. But let me tell you what, I think he will be over if he tries that. In my opinion, I mean, he's not a Democrat. I always want to tell people that they forget that he is not a Democrat. He takes it out too far. You saw the power of that moderate group, and I guess Obama in the background, they will destroy him. So
I agree.
How far he can go, I'm not sure. Now,
I mean, his best bet is to just attack Biden on issues.
Right.
Trade. Biden's a tool of the credit card companies from Delaware. Biden was for the Iraq War, and just stick
the
to
same
the
old
issues.
stuff.
I think he can normal stuff, but instead of the Democratic conspiracy is pushing me out. That stuff is not going to win Democrats.
No, right.
Democrats don't hate the Democratic Party, and I think that kind of stuff would be a little better for
That's
them.
fair. That's fair.
It's fair. It gives them a fighting chance. It puts Biden on defense, and it's just not working right now. It's just not. I mean, it's where his supporters are in their hearts. They just feel like the system's rigged.
He's just a left-wing version of Trump. And he got where he got. He tried to use Trump's playbook in all of this, and I think it backfired in a way. Because you know what? Nobody wants another Trump. Nobody wants the negativity. Nobody wants the crazy anymore. It's not funny anymore. It's not fun. It's great on a Saturday Night Live skit, but it is not what people are looking for. And I think that's one of the reasons he imploded, because I think he played it too much.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think you can't attempt a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. You gotta seek comfort. You gotta go to people where they live. And, I think that's his best bet. He's got things to work with Biden. There are things he can chip at. And
right.
So, he should do that. I think he'll have a better shot, especially as he goes into those industrial Midwestern states. He won Michigan against Hillary last time. That was really key for his survival. And I think he can, get competitive again in those states only by doing that.
Well, let me throw two things out at you, and Michigan, because I'm glad you brought Michigan up. First of all, you know what we learned from this? First of all, blacks are far more moderate than whites. I mean, hello, look what they chose.
Well,
yeah,
right.
I mean,
yeah. Well, I thought they're practical.
Very.
That means it's a.
Well, but that's a moderate vote. And the suburban women proved to be far more moderate than I think people, if you're on Twitter, you might not think that's true, but it is true. That being said, right, I think there's also this thing in Michigan, because all eyes are on Michigan right now. Well, Michigan has a young, new Democratic governor. Right. And she's the one who gave the State of the Union response, and she's all over
Right. She's a lot of watching her.
A lot of watching her and a lot of power in her. And she endorsed, Biden this morning. So, and it's my understanding that if he loses Michigan, Bernie, he's gone. Goodbye. That's it. That's his last stronghold. So, I wanted to bring that up because I thought that is something to keep our eyes on.
You are listening to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern at HalliCasserJayne.com and is available wherever you listen to your podcast. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, on all your favorite apps. You'll find the podcast on your Alexa device, too. Just say, The Halli Casser-Jayne Show. Oh, and come play with me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He has expanded from 2016 among Hispanic voters. Some of that's because they trend younger. So it's really for the youth quake he's delivered is why he's doing better with Hispanics.
But that wasn't
entirely.
Everywhere. But that was in Nevada. But I don't think that was true everywhere else, by the way. But that might be something.
No, I'm just saying he stepped up from 2016.
Right. I have a note here to say. Well, you'll
support.
laugh because I have a note here to say to Matt that Biden better learn how to speak Spanish rapido.
Well, it wouldn't hurt. I mean,
Ay, caramba.
It wouldn't hurt. Look,
I think that would.
but with Biden digging into that working class white base that Bernie had last time against Hillary,
yeah, that's big.
Last time Bernie really kind of ran the board in whites, places with low African American populations and low Hispanic populations. They tended to be Midwestern states that Democrats are never going to win. But, Bernie won the Dakotas and Nebraska and places like that.
And let me say this about Hispanic
this
votes.
time that's going to be tougher for Bernie.
Right, I agree with that. But I want to get back to Hispanic votes. That is not a monolithic vote.
No, of course.
And let me explain why it's not. It's because your Hispanics who are in Texas are a different breed of cat than the Hispanics in Miami.
Of course.
And that is huge. And I tell you what, he cannot win Hispanics in Florida, at least in Miami, in the Cuban.
Right.
Okay.
Well, but there's just been such a surge in Puerto Ricans.
Well, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and they're in the, corridor up near where I am, in that I-34 thing.
But old school Cubans.
They're not going for communists. Not going to happen. So
No. And his lavish praise of Cuban literacy is not helping.
No. And so I thought that point needs to be made. And let's talk Florida for a second. Let's discuss Veep. Assuming that it's Biden, who would he pick? Now there's the issue of what's her name? I always forget her now.
Stacey Abrams.
No. Before I get to that, I wanted to talk about Elizabeth Warren, who was gone silent.
Yeah. Being
courted by both sides, where she's going to go, what she's going to do, how she's going to do. She's the only one still in there who, really should have withdrawn. We know that she ideology wise, she certainly is more on Bernie's team. But, she's probably doing the math to figure out who gets what, and she's playing a game. And as far as I'm concerned, whatever go for Biden, honey. This is what I'm telling her, and get the right, if you can. Not leave the Senate, assuming we can get the Senate back. The Dems can get the Senate back. Get in the right cabinet position. That's your best bet. She's annoyed me unmercifully, as you know, the last few months.
Well, you got some issues there. I think Massachusetts has a Republican governor. I don't think if Biden were elected president, he's going to risk that Senate seat to make her secretary of the whatever. And I'm not sure that's a better job than what she has. Is she staying in the race because she's delusional that she's going to have some power at the convention to broker the nomination? Is she staying in because she has a fantasy she can be the nominee? Or is she staying in to suck votes from Bernie? Because she's helping Biden at this point, I think. I mean, we don't really know how the Warren votes would break if she left. Some of them, I think, would go to Biden. They're just kind of suburban women who might break more him. But I think the one intuitively would guess that she's taking more from Bernie.
Her whole playbook in the last few months has been very odd. And I think she sacrificed a lot of the goodwill that she had when she went so crazy with Bloomberg. And
she did a lot to take him out.
She did a lot to take him out, but
it didn't help her.
It didn't help her at all. And it didn't help Bernie at all either. So, I mean, she's got some. I don't know what happened to her.
Well, it's like Joaquin Castro. He took that kind of big shot at Biden.
Yeah, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris blew it on her attack on Biden. That was it. That was the end of her before she even got started. All right. So as long as we brought up a few of those people, let's talk about this vice president pick, because I got a real big thought on that, and I wanted to hear what you had.
Well, I got my thoughts too. So
okay, you
go. You want to go first? Or you want me?
You go first. Men first. You go first.
Well, look, I think Biden's got special dilemmas. He can't there's going to be a lot of scrutiny of the vice presidential pick. There always is, but there's going to be extra scrutiny because he's so old, and it's entirely plausible that person would have to take over the office. And so I think he can't go with someone who's too, I think he's got to go woman. And I think he's really got to go minority of some kind. So I'm going to toss out a few names you don't usually hear. And sort of dismiss some of the ones you do. I just don't think Stacey Abrams is gonna do it for Biden or for the country. I just think, she's a former state rep who lost the statewide bid. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, she's charismatic and she's got a lot of talent. I just don't see it. I don't think the country's I don't think it's going to help him. Now, a lot of people don't know her, but the junior senator from Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto, she's Hispanic. She's former attorney general of Nevada. She's very impressive. Interestingly, she kept her powder dry during the Al Franken thing, only a couple of female members of the Democratic caucus who did. I keep an eye on her. Couple members of Congress. We saw during the
I got one big one. You're getting close. You're getting
Val
close.
Demings.
That's it, honey.
The former police chief of Orlando. Now
she's it. That's my girl.
She's African American. Her husband was the former police chief in Orlando. She was chief during the big nightclub shooting down there. I think there's some.
I think she's the one.
I bet she's going to be on his radar.
And listen to me. Another reason for her: Florida. Of
course. And I think Harris, if she hadn't run for president, I think she might get it. But the fact is, she didn't run a great race, and there's not a lot to suggest what state she's going to bring in.
No, I agree with you on her. And she's a loose cannon. And actually, I think if you're going to put her anywhere, put her in attorney general.
Yeah, she runs a lot. I mean, look, she's got a charisma, but I don't think she can run up the numbers in Wisconsin or enough places that's going to make the difference. So I'd watch some other folks.
My bet's on.
Well, I think we're agreed on Demings.
Yeah, Demings.
Well, I agree. I think she's
got the best shot.
I think I would definitely watch her and
Catherine.
But what? Watch Cortez Masto.
Yeah.
She's not super high profile in the Senate, but I think she's someone to watch. Now I'll throw out a long ball.
Go ahead.
A way long ball. I don't think it's going to happen. But if this election is really going to come down to Wisconsin, I think there's a case that it will. Tammy Baldwin.
You're not the first person who's. She's on everybody's radar too.
I mean, she's
smart.
She's gay. She's won 2 races bigly in Wisconsin. She's cracked the white working class code. I think she could get you the state. I think she would be good around the Midwest. Now, she is Caucasian. I don't know if that's going to.
Yeah, I think that's her.
Leave some people disappointed.
Yeah. No, they're not going to settle for. No, there's no way that they're going to settle for a non-black, particularly what's his name, the congressman who South Carolina.
What?
Who endorsed
Clyburn?
Yeah, Clyburn is going to want a black.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know that, but look, that's a long ball. But, who knows?
Yeah, but I'm glad that we both came up with Valerie. Maybe
Demings.
Fascinating.
I think, totally fascinating.
Something else.
Maybe Donna Shalala can be like a 155-year-old ticket. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Remember the thing about Demings also, you've got to have shine today. You have to be sexy.
Yeah.
And she's even that. She just got a great delivery about her. she's cool.
No, she's got some charisma.
She really does. And things are happening in Florida that are so interesting here, in terms of, I think the Dems actually have a chance in Florida this time. A real chance. Not even a tight chance, a real chance if they don't screw it up. We got to move on, but before we do, I just want to say that Jeff Sessions is running for his old Senate seat, and he did not win it outright, and he has to have a runoff. And of course, Trump is thrilled about that. But I wanted to bring that up because that says a lot. Everybody's worried about what's going to happen in Alabama with Doug Jones, and I don't think write him off yet. This is a strange year.
No, I agree. I think he's a good candidate. I think he's used his position well. I think it's always tough if Trump carries the state by 20 points. He could pull him over.
Right. Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Okay, I want to move on. I want to say something very briefly. Which brief should I do? I have two. All right, let me go with this. The love of my life, Mr. Steve Bullock. Looks like he is
right. It looks like he's going to get in the race. Right.
Hello. Obama is very, very, very persuasive. He got on a plane and flew out and talked to him 3 weeks ago, and apparently it paid off. I think it also paid off because they can see that not only do they have a shot at the Senate, they might wind up with more seats than they thought that they could actually dislodge from the Republicans. But that would be really something. That would be really something. That would
that's a big
help. So you go, Steve. I'll be in there trying to help you get that seat.
Absolutely.
The other story I want to talk to you about was my old friend Chris Matthews, who in my very early days was actually one of my mentors way back when. I think the first story that I wrote out of Salvador, he edited for me. And I hate what they did to him. People may not know about Chris. First of all, he's 74 years old, and he sure as hell doesn't look it. So that right there. And he hasn't been well. He had a really bad case of prostate cancer that he just battled. I don't know if you know about that. And he hasn't been up to his game. He's been slowing down. But this anybody can say anything and do whatever, and goodbye and good luck. 25. He built MSNBC, Matt. He really did. He was one of the early MSNBC hosts. I just don't like what MSNBC did to him. Just needed to say that.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
And if you're a man, now, women have been getting it all, we accuse people of men of raping or being and we know what that's like. But to be a guy and to know that any woman can say anything she wants at any time, and that's it. No trial, you're done. That's got to be really disconcerting for you. Women are used to it, by the way. Men are not.
Right.
I mean, this is inappropriate. This is like way wrong. Way wrong.
No, I totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't know what I haven't, I'm not in Washington these days, so I don't know, but what the buzz is, but this is unacceptable. And we got to be looking into this kind of stuff. And the reporter from GQ, I can't think of her name right now. By the way, she's done this to
Laura Bassett. Yeah,
she's done this to. She's not even set on a full time. She's a freelancer, but she's been pulling this all over the place on all sorts of people. So, okay, I've said it. I'm there. That's all I have to say on that. I do want to talk about Israel and Netanyahu. I can't get a handle on what the hell's going on there. 1 minute he had the 61, 1 minute he had 60. What can you help us out to understand what's going on with the third election and whether or not Netanyahu can pull it together?
This is essentially the third election in a short period of time, and it looks like Netanyahu had finally gotten over the hump. But now, just in the last few hours, it looks like there's support for a bill that would prevent anyone who's under indictment from becoming the prime minister. Now, the fate of that law will be in the hands of the courts, and then we'll have a whole other chapter. But it looks like it's still not Netanyahu's just yet.
Well, I didn't see that. So who introduced that bill? The blue and white? Was it blue and white? The opposition?
No, but Avigdor Lieberman and other parties have gotten behind it, and there is majority for it. I don't know if it actually passed yet, but there is majority for this new law that's clearly designed to thwart Bibi's ambitions of another term.
This Lieberman guy has got to go. No. I want to say this. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying it because I'm pro Bibi, which I am. Everybody who listens to the show knows that. Throw that out. He is holding Israel hostage. One man, 3 elections, all because of one man, and this is unacceptable. Now I know it's a parliamentary system, and I know it's a different kind of breed of cat, and it does get to be ugly and crazy and whatever. But he is the only one. He is it. He could have coalesced them the first time. He could have made a coalition government the second time. And this time it looks like he was really under wraps because, Bibi was under indictment the last 2. So the guy, it's him. It is him. Russian immigrant or emigre to Israel. And he's problematic every way you look at it. And he's one man. So I just would like to say that, but in this country, you can't indict a sitting president, right?
Well, so, yeah, that's correct.
So, I mean, that's democracy. So anyway, it's a mess over there, but I don't know what happens, because, what's his name from Blue and White? His whole, business is under, scrutiny right now too, which is a little strange.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it.
You got anything? Where? So we just have. It's another wait and see. Oh my God, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at right now. Yeah.
Yeah, frightening, right? This could go on forever and ever and ever.
Well, it's a crazy system they got.
Yeah, it's like the UK crazy system. So, okay, I guess that's where we are. It's another wait and see. So let's just go on and wait and see and wait and see and wait and see. All right, I want to talk about Marco Rubio for a second. Have you seen him lately?
Well, I heard he had a big rant, right?
Oh, he always has a big rant. I don't know about the big rant. I mean, he's making a new appearance. He has tossed his suit and tie for the grunge look. Baseball cap, whatever you'd wear to clean your backyard in Florida. He's like looking a wreck, and he's videotaping himself, which is illegal, by the way, in Florida.
Yeah,
he's driving.
And he's up this year, right? Is he up this year?
I don't know.
He's
not.
He's
I don't
class
think so.
10.
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't know what he's up to, but he's acting weird. He's acting very, very weird. And, but I really wish he would put on a suit and tie again because this look does not help him out. And I just thought I would throw that out because, a lot of us have been having fun on Twitter about his new appearance. It's not senatorial. Is that the right word?
No, I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Chuck Schumer got himself into a little bit of trouble last night or yesterday, with the Supreme Court, and I thought we should talk about that. I guess what he said, he went after the vote that they're going to have on another abortion bill that's now up. Is that what precipitated all of this? And he actually got a response from the Chief Justice, which I thought was outrageous on the Chief Justice's part, only because just weeks before, Trump had gone after RBG and who was the other one? What's her name? The Justice? Sotomayor. And not a word came out of the Chief Justice's mouth about this. And of course, Susan Collins, who's not doing very well in her fight to keep her seat in Maine, said, Schumer owes, everybody an apology. And I thought to myself, well, honey, this is really all about the fact that you went and believed a man who under oath said he was not going to do anything against abortion, that he would uphold Roe v. Wade. And here he is, meaning chipping away at it. And yeah, you know what? We've got an activist court. All branches of government, take off their robes, and they're Republicans.
Yeah, well, look, I think Roberts was a little hypocritical about that. I agree. I think it was an unwarranted intervention into political commentary in the branches, and it's ridiculous that he chose Schumer and hasn't chosen others. People bash the court all the time. Chief justices don't start sending out letters to the legislative branch all the time. It's not, for such an institutionalist, that was not a great moment.
No, and I have to, it's on the heels of Sotomayor, actually writing, saying, what's going on up here is not attractive. This is not cool. This is turning into an activist court, and Republicans up here are no longer, seeking, just law, but are, rallying for their Trump. And that was quite courageous of her to do this. What was that? Oh, that was almost 2 months ago she wrote that. And I believe that RBG may have gone along with her on it. So this is very ugly. I also bring it up for this reason. It signals to me, Matt, that the Democrats are finally going to take a page out of the Republican playbook and say, get out and vote. We need to get the courts before they do any more damage to the courts. We've never, that's just not been something Democrats have ever run on before. But now that they see what's going on here and how this is being played, I think that Schumer was saying, watch this. This is going to be a part of the argument. And I think that's why Roberts got himself so exercised about it, because he saw what was going on.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought, we ought to bring that up. So we have another big next Tuesday night is another.
More primaries keep rolling on, and we're gonna see if the Joementum lasts. He certainly seems to have it now.
You got predictions?
Bernie, I forget which states are Tuesday. I'm blanking on them right now, but I think any state with a pretty high African-American population looks very good for Biden. So the remaining southern states, like Georgia and Louisiana, look very good for
Florida.
Biden. Florida, I think is good. You got older voters. You got pretty significant number of African-Americans. You got conservative Hispanics in the Miami area. So we'll see. I think Biden's set up for some victories here.
So how long until he could sew it up, assuming he could sew it up?
Well, I think it's going to take a little while. Bernie's I think Bernie's going to stay in the hunt. He's going to continue to pick up delegates in a lot of places. He's not going to totally collapse.
So he's not going gently into the good night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while before Biden can claim a majority of elected delegates. But so this is going to continue.
So not a contested convention.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean,
I don't think so. Yeah, I think there's a reason we haven't really had any in a very, very long time.
So the big player in all of this right now, interesting enough, turns out to be Elizabeth Warren. Let's see what she's up to.
Yeah. I suspect, she can read a spreadsheet, and at some point she's going to figure out she can't.
You better be on the right side of history on this one, honey, if you want to be able to run again, because she's not that young, actually. What is she, 70-something? We all think
70,
Yeah, she may have one more shot at the deal.
I think at some point she'll let it go. It was a tough night, but that third place in Massachusetts was really tough. So
yeah, that was painful. All right. So that's it, darling. We have nothing else.
All right.
We've covered it all.
We've covered it all. All right. Talk to you next time.
Hey, good night, George. I know you hate when I do that. You're like, why are you doing that?
Good night, G. I don't know who gets it, but I'm happy to do it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, a production of Resec LLC. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, and is available at hallicasserjayne.com and on all your favorite apps. Be sure to visit us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow me on Twitter at The Halli CJ Show. Until next time, this is Halli Casser-Jayne.